G'day folks, Steve from Vintage Restorations Australia here. Today we're going to talk about how we remove the paint from these windows before we install them, how we remove the corrosion and stuff off the roof hatch before we install that, and also how we deal with these little hinges to get them functioning and working again before installation, and then finally how we deal with the decoys and the badges that have been painted, how we strip those. So stay tuned. To remove this paint, we simply use paint stripper. It's going to take several applications because there's, as you can see, multiple layers of paint. There's green and yellow and blue, which has been painted a few times in its life. So you basically just brush it all on, let it sit. You can extend the time. If it doesn't come off easily, then just use a bit of cling film to cover the paint stripper and let it sit for a bit longer. But we'll come back to this in a tick and you'll see it's starting to bubble. And we just keep going until it's all off. So once it's all bubbled, you just use a plastic spatula. Just scrape off as much as you can. Obviously this hasn't taken it all off, so you'll have to reapply a second and maybe a third lot of paint stripper. But just keep doing that until you get back. You can see here we're down to metal. There's still a bit of paint there. Anyway, we'll give it another application after we finish scraping all this. So here we have the second application of paint stripper. You can see we're removing a little bit more paint this time, getting down to a bit of bare metal. Some of this takes a little bit more scraping, but you just scrape away, work away at little areas, and then maybe we'll reapply third time, but that's coming off quite well. You can see here now we're pretty much down to this metal, the aluminium. That's the last of that coming off. So now we switch to a wet method with Brillo pads or Scotch Brite pads, and we'll finish cleaning it up with those. Now we've finished paint stripping, you can still, there's still a bit of loose stripper and stuff here. We start with these plastic scourers. This just cleans it up. You can see that comes up real clean. We just use these to rub off the last of the soft paint. These will scratch the surface of the aluminium, but it's something we can buff out. You'll notice that we only use plastic scrapers and things like for removing all this stuff, and then the plastic scourers. The aim of that is to put as little scratching and stuff in the top of here, because you're going to have to polish it out. Anything that you scratch, you're going to have to polish. So avoid scratching it and just work away at that. You'll see it'll come off with a little bit of gentle abrasion. So once you've finished cleaning with the Brillo pad and removing the last of that soft paint, give it a good hose. That'll remove the caustic paint stripper and things and neutralise that surface. It'll also knock off any remnant paint that's sitting there. You've got a high pressure water hose, like a water blaster. It's a good idea to use that. It'll get into the cracks and crevices and remove any of the remaining grime that's trapped in there. And they're ready to go into the van after a quick polish. This is the frame of one of the roof hatches. As you can see, it's got a lot of paint and, well, lichen and all sorts of things on it. This is going to be painted on this particular van, so we just need to remove this in a fast, efficient manner, get it back to bare metal. Then it's going to be painted with a high build primer. So a few minor scratches don't really matter. So we're just going to use a wire brush on a drill to clean this up. So you can see there that we've cleaned that up with the wire brush. It's not actually a wire brush, it's a bronze brush. I recommend against using wire as such, metallic. particles and stuff get left and cause corrosion, so the bronze is a better choice. We normally give this a good clean before we paint it with the etch primer to ensure that any residual is off it. So often when we're doing wire brush work, we use these little bronze brushes on a drill like that. They're good for just gentle abrading. I don't do this anywhere that it's going to be polished, because you'll never polish out the marks that these bronze or brass brushes leave. They're good for getting into these little corners and things. We also make use of the Dremel with its little tiny ones for getting into corners and things. So when you're cleaning windows and the roof hatches and things like that that have got to be that are going to be painted, these are great tools for removing the grime, corrosion, any paint build-up and things like that. But be aware that these will scratch the surface and make it incredibly hard to polish. So these little sections are a bit hard to get to with a big wire brush, so we make use of the Dremel tool, and a bit like this. So you can see this aluminium roof hatch section, it's a bit dinged and bent where we've had to take it off. You want to square that all up before you put it back on. Take out these little bends and things like that. So for that we just use these aluminium head hickory handled panel hammers. They're nice and light, so it takes a lot of taps to get it, but you won't sort of bruise and ding up the metal. So it's fairly straightforward. Use your block. Use different shaped heads for different to get into different areas. And there we have it, nice and straight, ready to go on. You can see here we're installing the windows again, and we've got these nice little butterfly hinges. They don't always come out in good condition. We've scrounged a couple of good ones, but over here you'll see often they'll come out and they've been snapped off or broken. So what we do is like that one's completely lost all of its pin mounts. So what we do is we salvage all the good parts, and we just marry them up again and rehinge them. So we kind of make good ones out of broken ones. This is kind of what you got to do. Typically on vans that have been painted, they paint over the badges and things. So to reveal the logo and expose the logo, you simply paint strip them as we did with the windows. Fairly straightforward process. Again, with all paint scraping and things, try to use a plastic scraper so you're not scratching the surface unnecessarily. And obviously there's a little bit more you need to reapply there. We'll leave that for a little bit longer. We just add a little bit of plastic over the top, and that prevents the solvents from drying out. Just put a bit of weight on it to hold the plastic in place. You can see there most of the over paint has come off, and some of the original paint still remains there, so we might stop cleaning it at that point and give it a rub with a Scotch Brite pad to clean off the stripper. There you can see that all the over paint has come off, and we've maintained some of the original paint there, which we can pull the colours off. We could repaint that, or we can just stick with this kind of patina, which I kind of like, that worn patina of these emblems. Anyway, That's the paint off it. So that's it for today, folks. I hope that helped. If you've got any questions about how we go about doing all of this stuff, pop a question downstairs in the comments section below and we'll endeavour to answer those for you. So until next week, we'll see you.